Okay, good evening. As usual, we seem to be beset with some technical difficulties. What we're doing from our part is blaming them on the recent solar eclipse. And of course, spring is coming, it's the beginning of the seasons, etc., etc., etc. There's always got to be a reason which isn't us. That might be an interesting topic for a discussion, actually. The fact that our electronic devices, such as our computers, iPads, and telephones too, actually have some kind of personality. And we talk a lot about artificial intelligence. I think we're there already. Computers and the rest of it operate in the world of quantum. And quantum is extremely susceptible to outside influences, energetic influences. This is fairly well known, perhaps subject for a talk at some stage or another. So perhaps there's some validity in it. And anyway, we'll do our best. Unfortunately, the iPad that we have is not connecting to the net, which is part of the problem. So I'm afraid we're back to possibly less than the best sound and less than the best picture. But I'm sure you can all identify my handsome visage and also hear my voice. Let's do our best. This evening, the prophet poem I chose is one that's close to most of us. We, especially these days, with the monster of Facebook, we all make something of a fetish of friends. And I'm not sure that Facebook friends can be regarded as true friends, not even acquaintances, really, because what do you actually know about these people that call themselves friends? And yet, friendship is probably one of the more important things that govern our humanity. Can you operate without friends? Yes, I suppose you can. We can operate without a lot of things, including various portions of our anatomy. They have a habit of removing our tonsils when we're quite young, our appendix at the nearest hint that something might be wrong, and they even whip out the spleen without too much explanation because it doesn't seem to do anything. Not true, of course. If it didn't do anything, then we would almost certainly not have it. But that's another topic for another time. So there are many things that we can do without. So friends is no doubt one of them. Although some of us, as you go through the labyrinth of Facebook, seem to collect friends without too much thought or discretion. But that's not the kind of friendship that we're talking about. We're talking about a far more serious thing. I wrote an article which is posted on my website on friendship a couple of years back. And it starts off with a quote by Montaigne, a famous French philosopher writer. I'm going to read it, the quote, and a couple of my notes. If you really want to follow it up, it's there on my website, christopherneville.com. Montaigne says, quote, "In true friendship, I give more of myself to my friend than I seek to attract of him to me. I am better pleased in doing him service, and had rather that he should do himself good than me. I will be ruled by his convenience as to whether I should be present or absent." This ties in quite neatly, of course, with the phrase that I tend to throw around a lot on the various workshops and discussions that I have, when I say that the basis of a relationship is those few words, how can I serve you? These are, they're not in the least bit altruistic, although with a bit of luck, the result of living by that truism might be altruistic. But the reason I ask that question is because if I choose to have you in my life, to be my friend, for life to work as best as it possibly can. So it suits me to do what I can to make sure that this happens. I go on in my article to say, we'll get to the prophet in a moment. The dictionary confirms this approach when it defines friendship as one joined to another in mutual benevolence and intimacy. Mutual benevolence and intimacy. Intimacy is something else. Huh? Not ordinarily used of lovers or relatives. Hmm. Nice implication there, that one should not look for friendship amongst one's lovers or relatives. The dictionary goes on to speak of benevolence as being a disposition to do good, kindness, generosity. In other words, we're back to that aphorism of, how can I serve you? It would seem that both Montaigne and the dictionary would see friendship as an arena of mutual obligation, one to the other, where all parties concerned are expected, wonderful word, expectations again, to do something for the other. The motivation being quite simple. I want your life to work as best as it possibly can. And it is that that makes me a true friend. There's nothing soppy or sentimental about it. It's a hard-nosed, practical decision, this friendship thing. Expect, if you are a true friend, to have demands made upon you. Doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to fulfill them, but if you don't, then what kind of a friend are you? Let's finally get to the prophet. This is what he has to say. Your friend is your needs answered. Hello? In other words, what he's saying is you're very much entitled. Perhaps that's too strong a word. You may have the expectation that your friend will fulfill your needs. He is your field with which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving. Reap with thanksgiving. He is your board and your fireside. For him, no, I beg your pardon, for you come to him with your hunger and you seek him for peace. We're back to this mutual obligation thing. If you are my friend, then I am entitled, according to the words of the prophet, to look to you to sate my hunger, to look to you for peace. Too much? Well, perhaps. Perhaps. But if you can't get support from a friend, then who must you go to? And if your friend is unwilling to support you, simply won't, as they say, step up to the plate, then what kind of a friend is that? The Prophet goes on. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor do you withhold the I. It's powerful stuff. It's okay to contradict a friend because he is your friend. But by the same token, lost this, hold on, there we go. What's happening here? I seem to have lost that phone. Can I have some? Thank you. This is where my lack of technological expertise rears its unattractive head. Oh, there we go. There we go. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor should you withhold the I. When he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his heart. For without words, in friendship, all thoughts, all desires, all expectations are born and shared with joy that is unacclaimed. Not too many expectations in that sense. It's simply an acceptance of what is. Expectations are born and shared with joy that is unacclaimed. Now listen to this. When you part from your friend, you grieve not. For that which you most love in him may be clearer in his absence, as the mountain to the climber is clearer from plain. Very interesting comment that, and it goes back to the marriage thing, that we need space in our relationships. We need to be able to stand back and gain a perspective. And with the friendship, that can happen. And let there be no purpose in friendship save the deepening of the spirit. How can I serve you? In other words, I offer you my friendship because I believe I can be of service. And you take my friendship and embrace my friendship because it enriches your life. I contribute. For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love, but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. You know, we have this rather odd idea, certainly in the West, that you can't be in love with your friends. It's rather a crude phrase, which I won't voice here, but because I'm not sure of who's listening, but that you may not have that kind of relationship with your friend. It's a very odd idea. Very odd indeed. For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love, but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why so many of our so-called are apparently based on true love are in such deep trouble, because we're not friends. We know nothing about each other. I go into relationship with you of whatever kind without knowing what your dreams are, without knowing what your vision is, without knowing what your fears are, without any real awareness of what will actually make your life work. So then, how can I be of service? This is fast on friendship. This is not something to be undertaken lightly or offered lightly. This is hard work. I need to be, to use my definition of a relationship again, aware of your state of being. The reciprocal of that, of course, is you need to allow me to be aware of your state of being. You need to open yourself to me, just as I need to open myself to you. Then I can truly say to myself, how can I serve you? Because you will simply allow it. The Prophet goes on, let your best be for your friend. If he must know the ebb of your tide, let him know its flood also. In other words, yes, there are times when we are low, when we're not at our best, when our tide is at the ebb. And it's okay to expect our friend to engage with that, to pick it up. But equally, when we are overflowing, when the tide is at its flood, let our friend be part of that as well. It becomes a mutual embrace. For what if your friend, that you should seek him with hours to kill? Seek him also, always, hours to kill. There's a question for you. Your so-called friends, do you live with them? Do you allow them to be alive with you? Or are they simply there as a means to pass the time, to kill time? But it is his to fill your need, but not your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things, the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. Question: are your friendships refreshing? Do they add value to your life? The bigger question, do you actually add value to theirs? It's hard work, this friendship business. You have to be prepared and willing to put yourself on the line. And of necessity, that must be reciprocated by the person who calls themselves your friend. Much to think about, much to ponder on, as usual with anything that comes from the Prophet. So let's have another look at that Montaigne thing. Where did I put it? The quote from Montaigne. Friendship, I give more of myself to my friend than I seek to attract of him to me. I don't go into friendship, in other words, for what you can give me, for rather, what can I give you? I am better pleased in doing him service and had rather that he should do himself good than me. Friend comes first. I will be ruled by his convenience as to whether I should be present or absent. It requires a very high level of awareness of the other person's state of being. Time for you to look at your friends and see, are they measuring it? And the bigger question, are you measuring it? Good night. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.